In the wild, danger doesn't always come from where you expect it. Sometimes it stalks silently from the trees, patient and watching. Other times, it waits beneath the surface, calm and deadly. In today's video, we're looking at real incidents involving apex predators like mountain lions and the hidden dangers of water environments, all caught on camera. These moments show just how fast a routine hike, swim, or exploration can turn into a fight for survival. 1. The incident unfolded at Highland Hammock State Park. A woman was walking along a narrow wooden trail, hoping to spot some harmless wildlife along the way. But what appeared in the distance was anything but friendly. Out of nowhere, a Florida panther, with the boardwalk leaving no room to step aside or escape, the woman had no choice but to stay completely still. Trapped, exposed, and all she could do was hope the panther wasn't in the mood to attack.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy
2. The next incident dates back to the summer of 2014 near Fernie, British Columbia. During a solo mountain biking trip, a man named Chris realized he was being stalked by a hungry mountain lion in the wilderness. The encounter was caught on video, showing the predator following closely behind as Chris remained calm and alert.
He's crouching in the grass. He's actually coming towards me. This is really freaky. That is a mountain lion, and he's stalking me. This is so crazy. Hey, Mr. Mountain Lion. How are you doing?
Instead of panicking, he maintained eye contact, made himself appear larger, and slowly backed away using the correct survival techniques to deter the animal. The footage offers a rare look at how a potentially fatal encounter can be survived through composure and awareness.
I am much bigger than you. I'm way bigger than you. Go! Where are you going? Yeah? See this, Will? There's the mountain lion. There's a mountain lion right here. And he's just staring me down. Okay, This cat is coming back at me. This is unbelievable. There's a mountain lion right here. Right in front of me. Stay back. Stay there. I'm not afraid of you.
Three. The next incident was captured on a home surveillance camera. In a quiet residential backyard, a Florida panther was seen hunting a deer in plain sight. The footage shows the panther charging through the yard in pursuit, but the chase ends without a kill. The deer narrowly escapes, leaving the predator without a meal. Fortunately, no residents were outside at the time of the incident. If anyone had been outside, the outcome could have been far more dangerous in a matter of seconds. Four. The next case took place at a park in Central Florida. A woman was paddleboarding when an alligator was seen swimming directly toward her in the water. Video footage shows the gator approaching aggressively and attempting to bite the edge of her paddleboard, forcing the woman to back away. Authorities believe the animal's behavior may be the result of illegal feeding, which can cause alligators to lose their natural fear of humans. Thankfully, the woman was not injured. But the incident highlights how quickly a routine outdoor activity can turn dangerous.
No! Go away!
5. The next incident occurred on March 22, 2025 in Naples, Florida. During a youth turkey hunt in southwest Florida, a guide, a young hunter, and an assistant were quietly inside a hunting blind when they were suddenly interrupted by a loud, high-pitched scream. Moments later, a female Florida panther emerged and walked to within just 10 steps of them. Although the animal was clearly aware of their presence, it showed no signs of aggression and never made a move toward them. After a brief encounter, the panther calmly continued on her way. Wildlife biologists later confirmed that the scream heard was a caterwaul, a vocalization female panthers use during mating season while in heat. Six. The next incident is straight from the San Juan Mountains near Durango, Colorado. A man hiking alone realized he was being stalked by a mountain lion, following him from just a few feet away. Instead of running, he remained calm and began speaking firmly to the animal while slowly creating distance. By maintaining composure and awareness, he was able to deter the mountain lion and eventually walk away unharmed. The encounter highlights how calm behavior can make the difference between danger and survival.
You got a pistol.
behave. You behave now. Yeah, go ahead and get in front of my trail cam. Let's get a picture of that. Yeah, you be good, kitty. I've got a pistol right here. You behave. Go on.
Seven. The next incident took place on May 13th, 2021, in Salt Lake City, Utah. A man was hiking the Broads Fork Trail in Big Cottonwood Canyon until he suddenly realized he wasn't alone. A cougar had started following him. Instead of panicking, he turned to face the cougar, slowly backed away, made himself look bigger, and spoke to it calmly. The cougar didn't make it easy. It repeatedly charged and hissed, coming as close as about 10 feet. The standoff lasted nearly 5 minutes, until the cougar decided it wasn't worth the effort and walked away, allowing the hiker to leave safely. The lesson here is simple. Stay calm, don't run, and know how to react.
I'm going away. I'm going away.
8. The next clip is from June 1st, 2022, Waskesiu Lake, Saskatchewan, Canada. What began as a routine wildlife photography outing quickly turned into a dangerous encounter. The photographer was observing a black bear from what he believed was a safe distance when the animal caught both his scent and his movement. After several tense minutes of being followed, the man worked exactly as intended, sending the bear running and ending the encounter before it turned deadly.
It's okay. Hey, bear. It's okay. Whoa, bear. Hey, bear. Hey, get out of here. I'm leaving. Hey, bear. It's okay. Hey, bear. Whoa, bear. Hey. Hey. It's okay. Yeah, get up there. Get up there. Hey, bear. Whoa, bear. Hey. Hey. Good bear. That's a good bear. You stay up there. Hey, bear. Hey. Hey, bear. Good bear. Good bear. Yep, good bear. Hey, bear. Hey. Hey. There you go. Good bear. Good bear. Good bear. Woo.
The next incident began as a peaceful ride through a wooded trail, turned into a sudden race for survival. With his GoPro already recording, the cyclist realized too late that a massive grizzly bear had noticed him and began charging from behind. After several terrifying moments, he managed to create enough distance to escape immediate danger. Nearby hunters soon became aware of the situation, and their warning shots were enough to scare the bear off, bringing the encounter to a narrow but life-saving end. In the next incident, a camper was camping alone in a forest tent when a bear suddenly approached and began clawing at the tent from the outside. The encounter highlights how quickly a peaceful camping trip can turn dangerous, especially when camping alone in bear territory. 11. In the next incident, a 22-year-old man experienced a terrifying encounter while tarpon fishing at sunrise in a Florida wetland. After catching a fish and starting to reel it in, he suddenly noticed a massive alligator emerging from the water, closing in on him. Stunned, he stepped back as the reptile began to chase him, capturing the heart-pounding moment on video.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Gotta be careful here.
12. The next incident took place about 2 miles north of Alligator Alley in the Big Cypress area of the Florida Everglades. While fishing with his brother, he suddenly encountered 2 Florida panthers emerging from the brush, attempting to cross the old bridge he was on. The sighting lasted about 5 minutes, the longest Florida panther encounter he had ever experienced. Neither the panthers nor he felt threatened, which allowed the cats to move calmly across the bridge, making the moment tense, yet strangely mesmerizing. "13. In northwest Montana, a photographer used a hand call to attract a cougar and bring it close to the camera. The cougar responded, showing how wild animals can be curious. Luckily, the cougar didn't attack, but this close encounter was a clear reminder of how wild and unpredictable these animals can be. Final shocking clip. It starts with a fisherman recording a mountain lion swimming in the water from a distance. But as the video continues, the animal gets closer and closer to the boat. After several failed attempts, the exhausted animal finally gives up and swims away. Even in water, predators are still dangerous. "16. Next, we shift from mountain lions to the raw danger of the wild. While preparing for an overnight stay on a mountain in Swedish Lapland, YouTuber Vahed Kulsberg and his husky, Riley, found themselves in a terrifying situation. What began as a peaceful moment, enjoying the view, quickly changed when Riley noticed movement in the tree line below. Sensing danger, Vahed immediately leashed his dog to keep her from running toward it. Moments later, Vahed realized what they were dealing with: a bear. At first, it seemed curious, but within minutes, it started moving directly toward the mountain where Vahed and Riley were camped. With no other options left, Vahed picked up large rocks and threw them downhill, not to hit the animal, but to appear threatening. Thankfully, the tactic worked. The bear turned and ran back into the woods. Vahed and Riley escaped completely unharmed, But the encounter is a powerful reminder that in the wild, staying calm and reacting correctly can mean the difference between survival and disaster.
I think I saw a bear. There are some birds in distress over there. I just saw an animal move.
17. The next incident occurred on July 12, 2023, when hiker Mark Girardeau encountered a mountain lion while hiking in Trabuco Canyon, California. The mountain lion came dangerously close, but Mark's calm response kept the situation from escalating, and the animal eventually backed off and left without causing any harm.
Alright, so I was just hiking up this path to check some of my cameras. And look at this. It's Uno, just chilling here. I just came around the corner here. She's literally just sitting here watching me. Hi, Uno.
Next, we have another close call involving a grizzly bear, this time in a place many people assume is completely safe. During an organized tour at Glacier National Park in Montana, a group of tourists spotted a massive grizzly bear moving through the area. While the bear was clearly just passing by, a few people in the group made a risky decision and moved closer to take photos. Suddenly, the bear began running toward them. Panic set in as the tourists scrambled back toward the main group, realizing just how dangerous the situation had become.
Yeah, he just wants to get through.
Next, we move to another intense wildlife encounter, and this one unfolding on a quiet hiking trail. While hiking in Kings Canyon National Park, a YouTuber known as Norwegian Explorer found himself in a dangerous standoff with a bear. When he arrived, he noticed the animal watching a nearby couple as they packed up their campsite. The bear had likely picked up the scent of food and was slowly investigating. The hiker tried to scare the bear away by shouting and standing his ground.
For itself.
Go away, bear. Go away. Go away. Go away. You can't stay here.
For itself.
Go away, bear.
Oh, there. Holy. There's no way. Bro. There's like overgrowth on her and everything. She's right there.
1. The figure in the fog. A peaceful family hike through Olympia's misty forest trails took an unsettling turn when they decided to review photos taken by the sister, an avid nature photographer. Known for her patience, she had lingered behind the group to capture that one perfect shot. But what stood out later wasn't a majestic tree or a rare bird. At the far end of one frame, a figure stood completely still, nearly blending into the mist. Its shape was unclear, but it held something, long and heavy, maybe an axe or a scythe. There hadn't been anyone else on the trail, no warning, no sound, just a quiet presence in the fog. Had this figure been there the whole time, watching, waiting? Or was it something more than human? 2. Watched in the mist. Deep in a fog-covered forest, a hiker sensed something was off. There was no sound, no movement, just that eerie quiet that settles right before something happens. With a growing sense of unease, he started recording on his phone. What the camera caught was bone-chilling. A tall, dark silhouette loomed in the distance, not moving, not reacting. As he kept walking, more of these figures began to appear, faint, almost blending into the mist. Were they all the same person, or something else entirely? The sensation of being watched grew unbearable. He didn't wait to find out. He turned around and got out of there. 3. Phantom of the Rainforest. Two friends pitched a tent in a lush, remote rainforest, completely unaware their night was about to take a terrifying turn. Everything was quiet. The evening went by normally. Tent up, a warm meal, and off to sleep. But what the outside camera captured told a different story. In the dead of night, a pale figure emerged from the trees. It didn't look quite human. It held something, maybe a decapitated head, or something equally disturbing, and stood unnaturally still. By morning, the friends were fine. They had no idea how close they'd come to something possibly not from this world. Only later, after reviewing the footage, did they realize what had been lurking just beyond the tree line. 4. Shadow beside me. While scrolling through camping photos, a group of friends noticed something strange in one shot. Next to one of them stood a shadowy figure, specifically what looked like the upper half of a woman. No one else had been there at the time. There was no one behind them, no optical illusion that could explain it. It wasn't just a flicker or blur. The figure was clear and distinct, and the creepiest part? No one remembered seeing anything or anyone nearby. Was it a ghost, a trick of the light, or did they unknowingly capture something they weren't meant to see? 5. Playing dead. One hiker had a heart-pounding encounter that would make most freeze. In a quiet part of the woods, something moved in the trees. Big, black, and silent. A bear, and not just any bear, a massive one. Instead of running, the hiker dropped to the ground and played dead. It was the only chance. The bear circled, sniffed, and even nudged his foot as if testing if he was truly lifeless. Time stretched endlessly, but eventually, the bear moved on. The hiker stayed still until he was sure it was safe. He had come face to face with nature's raw power and lived to tell the tale. 6. The trail camera children. A woman set up a trail camera deep in the Tennessee woods where her friend used to hike until he passed away in June. After his death, she decided to review the footage just for peace of mind. What she saw left her shaken. There, behind her friend in one clip, were two small, childlike figures. They weren't animals. They weren't other hikers. She believed they were spirits, ones that had tormented her friend until his final days. The video gave her chills, and to this day, no one has explained who or what those children were. 7. The Ontario Howl. October 3, 2019. A group of hunters were moving through the forests of Ontario when a sound stopped them cold. A deep, guttural scream echoed through the trees, not once, but over and over again. Raw, agonized. It didn't sound like any known animal. The group froze, trying to listen, to understand. But whatever made that sound never showed itself. The screams lasted for minutes, fading into silence. Some say it was a wounded creature. Others aren't so sure. 8. Cemetery snapshot. At a cemetery in Hannibal, Missouri, a father and his son were just taking casual photos during a visit. It was a cloudy afternoon, quiet and still, with leaves rustling gently underfoot. They weren't ghost hunters or thrill seekers, just a family walking through a historic graveyard, paying respects and enjoying a peaceful moment together. The boy had brought his new camera, excited to test it out, and was snapping random pictures along the path, pausing now and then to capture the older, more weathered headstones. Nothing about the day felt strange. There was no eerie wind, no chilling sounds, just the occasional crow and the faint creak of branches. They laughed, talked, and admired how beautiful and calm the cemetery looked under the overcast sky. But later that evening, as they flipped through the images at home, one photo brought the mood to a full stop. In the picture, the boy was standing near a row of headstones, smiling at the camera, but behind him, partially obscured by a leaning gravestone, stood a figure. It wasn't blurred or shadowed by trees. It was clear, still, watching. The figure wore what looked like a long, dark coat with a high collar and trousers that didn't quite match anything modern. The clothing was distinctly old-fashioned, maybe 1800s or earlier. The posture was rigid, almost military, and the expression, neutral, but unmistakably aware of the camera. Neither the father nor the son remembered seeing anyone else nearby. No footsteps, no voices, no signs of another visitor. And the figure hadn't appeared in any of the shots taken just seconds before or after. Just that one. Almost like it had chosen to be seen. They even showed the photo to a few locals, one of whom claimed the spot had long been rumored to be haunted by a Civil War soldier who'd never left his post. Others dismissed it as a clever illusion. But for the father, the photo changed something. All his life, ghost stories had been just that. Stories. Fun to tell. Easy to forget. But 9. Haunted paper mill. Urban explorers. Kenneth and Justin headed into an old paper mill in Austin, Pennsylvania. Locals said it was haunted, filled with strange noises and shadowy figures. They laughed it off until they got inside. In the dark, under the mill, they discovered bones, real ones. Then came the voices. A child's voice echoed from the shadows. Then something moved behind them, caught on camera. That was it. They bolted. The fear in their voices was real. Haunted or not, that mill changed their minds forever.
I think that place is haunted.
Oh yeah, most definitely. The paper mill's fucking haunted as shit. Because I went there the one night, me and my buddies. We all went over there and we were drinking a little bit, but
Yeah.
like I was like 2 beers in and I'm like, dude, I must be like,
Oh shit, it's bubbling out. It's burping probably. It's probably just burping.
good. Anyways,
Yeah.
I saw some, I was like 2 beers in and I'm like, I can't be this drunk already. Like, for shit to start moving off the walls, and then my buddy caught it on camera that like something ran behind us.
No kidding.
On Snapchat, like he caught it on camera and everything.
Hello? Yep, get the fuck out of there! Holy! Yep, no more of that shit. Did you hear that? Oh yeah. What was that?
10. The Shadow Friend. A family had captured a sweet photo of their daughter walking in the woods. It was one of those quiet, peaceful moments. Golden sunlight filtering through the trees. The little girl just a few steps ahead on the trail, arms swinging, completely carefree. Nothing seemed off at the time. The parents had called her name, she'd turned and smiled, and everything about the hike had felt normal. But later, when they scrolled through the pictures at home, one image made them stop cold. The girl was looking directly at something, or someone, ahead of her. Her posture had shifted slightly in that frame. She wasn't just strolling. She looked focused, as if acknowledging someone in her path. And just beyond where she stood near the edge of the trail was a shadowy figure, vague but visible. Not a tree, not a trick of the light. A shape, upright, still. Too tall to be another child, too dark to be explained by sunlight alone. No one else had been on that trail, at least not within eyesight, and when the parents zoomed in, The figure didn't become clearer. It remained blurry, undefined, yet undeniably present. Almost as if it didn't want to be seen too clearly, just noticed enough. What struck them even more was how familiar it felt. Not the figure, but the situation. 11. The bear test. This one's wild. A man hiking through remote forest land spotted a massive black bear. Instead of panicking, he did the unthinkable. He dropped to the ground and went completely still. The bear circled him for a few tense moments, sniffed, and even nudged his leg, almost like it was checking if he was faking. Then it slowly wandered off. That hiker walked away with nothing but a story and a newfound respect for survival instincts. 12 Coyote Circle. Winter camping in December sounds magical until it's not. One camper took his puppy Belle into the forest for a peaceful night. As darkness fell, coyotes started howling in the distance. At first it was eerie but manageable. Then the howls grew louder, closer. Soon he realized he was surrounded. The pack didn't attack, but they didn't leave either. He stayed calm, mostly for Belle's sake, and waited. All night, the tension hung thick in the air. At dawn, he packed up fast and left. It was a reminder that nature doesn't always let you relax, especially when predators are near.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, I feel like it's safe to say they're pretty close.
13. The dementia disappearance. During a bike ride in Whitefish, Montana, 2 riders passed a man in a white shirt and glasses. He didn't respond when they called out, not once. Something about him felt off. They even joked about him looking like a serial killer. Later, they encountered a frantic woman searching for her husband, who had dementia. Her description matched the man they saw. Realizing their mistake, they rushed back to find him. After a long, anxious search, they found him in a different parking lot, confused but safe, with the family dog by his side. What began as a casual ride turned into a rescue, and a powerful reminder not to judge too quickly.
We're being pretty far back in the park when we noticed a man up ahead. He was wearing a white shirt and glasses, walking by himself. We called out to him that we were coming up on his left. He didn't react at all. So we called out again, hey, we're coming up on your left, excuse me, no reaction. Third time, no reaction, which I thought it was odd. Odd enough for me to make a comment, something along the lines of, wow, that guy was creepy, or talk about a serial killer. There, in the same parking lot, standing by himself, surrounded in the same amount of people, was this man wandering around with the dog by his side.
Wow. He's here. Hi, Papa.
14. Mary the Possessed Doll. A doll named Mary had been buried deep in the woods by a group of paranormal investigators. Later, they returned to check if it was still there. It was, but the soil around it had been disturbed, like something tried to claw its way out. The ground wasn't just shifted, it was ripped open in jagged streaks, as if small hands had dragged upward from beneath. The investigators stood still, scanning the shadows between the trees, noticing how unusually cold the air felt around the burial site. Leaves that covered the forest floor hours earlier were now pushed aside in uneven piles, forming a subtle trail leading away from the mound.
Oh, there. Holy. There's no way. Bro. There's like overgrowth on her and everything. She's right there. Mary's right there. Patty. What does that mean? What does Patty mean? She's gonna say one more thing and I'm getting out of here. Like, I don't feel safe here.
The doll's glassy eyes were peeking through the dirt, half exposed, staring upward with a hollow expression that seemed different from before. The head tilted slightly, almost as if it had moved on its own since the last visit. As they debated whether to rebury it, a faint giggle drifted through the woods, not playful, more like a child hiding behind a tree and waiting to be found. But no footsteps followed, no movement. Just a single laugh, quickly swallowed by silence. Moments later, whispers began to flow between the branches, overlapping softly as though multiple voices were speaking at once. 15, Grizzly ambush. 4 college wrestlers were out searching for antlers in Wyoming's Shoshone National Forest. Then, a grizzly attacked. Brandon was the first hit, slammed against a tree. His friend Kendall fought the bear barehanded to save him. It turned on Kendall next, biting and mauling before disappearing into the trees. Despite their injuries, one needing over 60 staples, they made it out alive. It was teamwork and quick thinking that saved them, and a level of bravery most can't even imagine.
The bear came running out of the trees. I didn't even see it until it was right in front of me, but I heard the crashing, and the only thing I could yell was, "Bear, bear!" And I yelled bear, and the bear tackled me first.
And then with its head pushed me on the ground all the way up against the trees, and then kind of pinned me up there, and it was attacking me for a second. I was putting my hands in its mouth and stuff so it wouldn't be chewing on my neck and everything. I called out to Brady. I was like, "Brady, you all right? Where you at, Brady?" And then I didn't hear nothing from Brady, but I heard the bear kind of grunting behind me, and I heard it walking. And then I saw it again, and it came and it attacked me again.
16. Voices in the pines. A solo camper set up deep in the woods for a quiet night under the stars. Everything felt normal until the voices began. At first they were faint, like whispers carried on the wind, then clearer. It sounded like 2 or 3 people talking in the distance, but no one was there. As a storm rolled in, the voices didn't fade. They grew louder, blending with the wind and creaking trees. Heavy objects started crashing nearby, things too big to be falling naturally. When he checked his footage later, something was caught moving just outside his tent. He still can't explain what it was. And honestly, some things are better left unexplained.
Jadi sekarang di luar kondisinya hujan lebat banget. Ngeri banget ketika di hutan di sini gue sendiri dan hujan. Dan ini badai teman-teman. Kayak anginnya deras banget gitu loh. Gue khawatir aja ada pohon-pohon yang tumbang di sekitar sini. Ini belum reda-reda teman-teman. Ini udah jam, kalian bisa lihat. Ini udah deket jam 1 loh teman-teman. Hujannya nggak reda-reda. Gue dari tadi cuma bisa baring-baring, nggak bisa tidur teman-teman. Gue baring-baring cuma bisa lihat-lihat foto, denger musik. Nggak ada jaringan di sini. Ya udah, begini doang. Dan di sini gue ngerasa cukup horror banget men. Hujan-hujan kayak gini gue banyak banget denger kayak patah morgana suara di hutan gitu. Gue denger kayak langkah kaki ngedeketin, kayak
17th Highway Watcher. At a quiet gas station late at night, a camper spotted something strange just beyond the pumps. The place was almost abandoned. Just the low hum of the fluorescent lights, the occasional rattle of wind through the nearby trees, and the distant whir of a vending machine that hadn't been used in hours. The camper had pulled in to top off the tank and maybe grab a snack, not expecting anything unusual. But out of the corner of his eye, something moved near the edge of the tree line. A tall, thin figure stepped out, moving on 2 legs, but in a way that was off. It didn't walk. It glided, limbs too long, posture too rigid. The figure stopped under the edge of a flickering light, and just for a moment it was illuminated by the passing beams of a car driving down the road. 18. The Vanished Hiker. In a mysterious video reportedly found in an abandoned car deep in the desert, a woman had recorded what was supposed to be a scenic solo hike. The footage is peaceful at first, just her voice, her steps, the vastness of nature. Then the video cuts off without warning. The woman, never seen again. The only thing left was her camera, discovered inside the locked car, and a chilling question no one has been able to answer. What really happened out there? 19. Eyes in the trees. Some hikers get the feeling they're being watched. This one had proof. He was exploring a dense forest when that sensation crept in. The subtle alertness, the tightening in the chest. He turned on his camera's torch and scanned the shadows. That's when he saw it, eyes blinking behind the bushes. Something was back there, tall, still, watching. He didn't stay to ask questions. He bolted, and when he reviewed the footage later, the figure was real, and it was closer than he remembered. 20. Tent in the Tempest. A camper had set up on a hill, expecting nothing more than a light breeze. But as night fell, a violent storm rolled in. Winds exceeded 60 miles per hour, shaking the tent like it was made of paper. He clung to the frame all night, hoping it wouldn't tear apart or fly away. Sleep wasn't an option, just survival. By morning, the storm hadn't let up. Packing up was another battle, with gear blowing in every direction. Making it back to the car felt like a second hike through chaos, but he made it, and he'll never underestimate mountain weather again. 21st Halloween Apparition. Late one Halloween night in Lockport, New York, a group of friends wandered near the entrance to a local cave. Someone snapped a photo just for fun. No one saw anything weird at the time, but when they looked at the picture the next day, there was a figure standing at the cave's entrance. The group had walked through that exact spot seconds later, laughing and talking, with no idea that something or someone had been watching them from the dark. 22. Fort Fisher Shadows. While exploring Fort Fisher Battlefield in North Carolina, a man took a few quick photos of the historical site. But when he looked back through the images, he noticed something strange. Two shadowy figures had appeared, no hats, no reflections, no explanation, and they weren't where they should have been. Fort Fisher, with its deep Civil War history, has long been rumored to be haunted. Were these spirits of fallen soldiers? The photos definitely raised questions that history books can't answer. 23. Giggling in the dark. Mitty and his brother were camping in the Peak District. It was just another chill night in the tent. Nothing strange, no bumps, no fear, just laughter and conversation. But when they checked the footage later, something made their blood run cold.
I don't know what to say, Phil. The original video.
A giggle, a child's voice, clear, loud, close. They hadn't heard it that night. They would have remembered. It was the kind of sound that doesn't belong in a dark forest, especially when there were no children anywhere near their camp. 24th Figure in the Trees. In the dense woods of Mexico, a man hiking at night spotted something bizarre up in the trees. It had a humanoid shape, but the way it moved, the way it perched, it wasn't normal. He caught it on camera, its eyes glowing faintly from the light. It stayed high above, motionless, as if studying him. Most people run from things on the ground. He found himself backing away from something above. 25th Festival Windstorm. At a multi-day festival, campers set up their tents for a fun overnight stay. But many were first-timers and forgot a crucial step, staking down their tents. That mistake became obvious when a sudden gust of wind ripped through the campgrounds. Tents took off like balloons, belongings flying through the air. People ran, shouted, laughed, and panicked. It was chaotic and dangerous, a real reminder that Mother Nature doesn't care if you're trying to vibe out to music. Preparation matters, even at a festival. 26. The Trail of Forgotten Messages. Using the Randonautica app, Tom and Alicia set their intention to find something mysterious. The coordinates led them deep into the woods, and that's where things got weird. At first, it was just a peaceful forest trail. Birds chirping, the crunch of leaves beneath their shoes, the occasional spiderweb brushing across their faces. But then, the air shifted. It got quiet. Too quiet. They spotted the first sign nailed to a crooked tree. It looked like a normal fishing regulation notice, but the language was oddly aggressive. "All anglers must be members," was scrawled in bold. But someone had scratched over parts of the message, and it almost read like a threat. It didn't feel like it belonged out there. They joked about it at first. Tom even laughed. Maybe it's just a warning to turn back. But Alicia wasn't so sure. As they moved further in, another sign came into view. This one was duct taped to a tree trunk, barely hanging on. Most of the text had faded, like it had been there for years, but what little was left suggested it once held a message. Maybe a name, maybe a date. It was impossible to tell. Still, the uneasy feeling grew stronger. Then came the noise, a soft rustling off to the right. At first they thought it was a squirrel, maybe a deer, but it stopped when they stopped, started when they started. Something, or someone, was keeping pace. But finally, after what felt like forever, the trail widened and opened near the roadside. They didn't speak until they were back in the car, doors locked, windows up. What? Here are the most disturbing forest encounters ever caught on camera. Moments that shake you, unsettle you, and remind you that the woods hold more than just trees and trails. From quiet campsites turned chaotic to strangers who step out of nowhere, every story in this countdown has one thing in common. The wilderness was not as empty as it seemed. Whether you camp every weekend or prefer to stay far from the tree line, these are the encounters that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Let's begin the countdown. Number 1, Grizzly Gaz and the Vanishing Stranger. Camping in the woods is supposed to bring peace, especially for someone like Grizzly Gaz, a UK camping YouTuber known for his calm solo adventures with his French bulldog, Fendi. On this particular trip in April 2023, deep in a quiet British woodland, everything started off exactly as expected. Gaz filmed himself pitching his tent, chopping firewood, and preparing a steak dinner over a small crackling fire. The evening light faded as he settled into the comforting routine of every seasoned camper who knows fire, food, silence, and the soft shuffle of the forest settling in for the night. But as darkness wrapped around the campsite, the peaceful atmosphere shifted without warning. Out of the shadows stepped a man wearing jeans, coat, moving strangely and speaking softly. First, he requested food and something to drink. Gaz joked nervously to the camera that he had nearly shat his pants. The man introduced himself as Martin, but Gaz could tell something was off.
Right, we've got steaks on go now. Bit of ribeye. Pot boiling for some mash. And I've got a visitor. Creeped up behind me asking me if I had a light. I shit me pants. This is Martin anyway. I don't know him, but he's stopping for a steak, so
just some random crate wandering about.
You went round here in a poncho a couple of months ago, were you?
I don't think I was. I could have been.
His words were slurring and his movements were unstable, as if he was drunk, high, exhausted, or something altogether more concerning? Still, Gaz tried to be polite, handing over a hot meal and trying to keep things calm. They sat by the fire together, exchanging uneasy conversations. Martin shared his life as a homeless man and about his drug addiction. There was something unpredictable in the man's tone, something that made Gaz keep one eye on him while feeding the fire. Then came the moment that truly chilled him. Gaz turned for just a few seconds to cut more firewood. When he turned back, Martin was gone. No footsteps, no goodbye, and no sound of leaving at all. He had vanished silently into the forest, as if he was swallowed by the darkness. Gaz's instincts screamed that something was not right.
Turned round to cut some firewood up. So I cut a couple of logs up, and when I turned back round, he'd gone. I just found that really strange.
He forced himself to sit for a moment, pretending to stay calm, but that didn't work. He was scared from head to toes. He wondered if Martin was still nearby or he was watching. He wondered whether Martin would come back. Gaz finally decided not to risk it. He packed up camp earlier than planned, but before leaving, he strapped a trail camera to a nearby tree just to know whether Martin returned during the night. But the next morning, returning to retrieve it, Gaz found something far more disturbing than a recording.
I'm on my way back to the camp to collect my trail camera and see if that random smackhead came back during the night.
The trail camera was gone. It was completely removed from the tree. No sign of struggle and no clue of where it went.
Trail camera's gone. That's where it was, on this tree. So my gut instincts were right, weren't they, to leave.
Only one conclusion remained. Martin or someone else had come back after Gaz left, and they didn't want to be filmed. Number 2, Phil and the Trail of Writings. For most hikers, the Appalachian Trail is a place of fresh air, quiet miles, and a break from the weight of everyday life. That is exactly what Phil, the creator behind Hike Slam, expected when he set out for a simple overnight trip near his home in Virginia the night before Thanksgiving in 2021. Phil is the kind of outdoorsman who knows these woods like the back of his hand. He is someone who usually hikes for peace, solitude, and challenge. But on this night, the trail felt different for him. At first, it was small things like little scraps of trash scattered along the path. That was nothing unusual. But then he noticed plastic containers placed deliberately, and what made them even creepy was the writing on them, each one marked with strange pieces of poems and handwritten lyrics, sitting half buried in the dirt. The farther he walked, the stranger the notes became. Uneasy sentences written in the same shaky handwriting. They hinted to personal pain, betrayal, and thoughts that didn't seem to come from someone who was simply passing by. They felt like the writings of someone unstable or someone who had been in these woods long enough with deep pain and despair.
Weirdness continues. What the hell?
Then came the detail that broke the tension to its extreme. Lying beside the trail was a dead duck.
There's a dead duck here. And it looks like it was just put here because it's not wet. That duck is fairly recently killed. Alright. Kind of creepy.
It was freshly killed where its feathers were clean and dry, as if someone had placed it there just moments earlier. That made Phil freeze. The coincidence was impossible to ignore now. Someone had left the writings, and someone had left this animal, and they were still close. When Phil continued along the path, the smell of wood smoke came to him. A small tarp was pitched deeper in the trees, just far enough from the main trail to stay hidden unless you were looking for it. Whoever had written those notes was camping there only a short distance ahead. Soon after, Phil encountered 2 women on the trail who asked him if he had seen a man leaving disturbing messages and animals. Their unease matched his own. They asked him to escort them back to their car, and he agreed. When he finally turned back toward the shelter he originally planned to sleep in, he thought he was putting the strange experience behind him. But it was only the beginning. The shelter logbook, a simple notebook hikers use to record names and short messages, held something Phil never expected.
I hang out by the fire. Almost every shelter on the Appalachian Trail has a shelter log where people write in their trail names and what's going on. They can write whatever they want in there. So it's kind of cool tradition here. So let's see what this one says. Alright, let's see what's happened recently. Holy crap. Wait a second. Hold on, I'm gonna adjust the camera here. This writing looks almost exactly like the writing that was on that garbage a couple of miles from here.
The same handwriting he had seen on the containers filled entire pages, rants about jail time, solitary confinement, cryptic Bible verses, strange numbers, and bizarre warnings, and as if the woods wanted to seal the fear in one final note.
In 2018, while I was incarcerated at the Okaloosa County Jail, what the heck? I figured the following out. Refer to Isaiah 28:15 through 9.
He found a half-cutted Gatorade bottle hanging from a string inside the shelter with yet another message. Watch out for Yeet Mouse. The dead do walk and talk on. The words made no sense, yet the meaning felt intentional and deeply dark.
Alright, I'm going...
That night, Phil was trying to rest inside his tent, and that is when a figure with a headlamp approached the shelter, pacing silently in the dark. He didn't wait to find out if it was the same man behind the writings. He packed up quietly and walked back to his truck in the dark. Every sound behind him echoed the tension. He returned safely, but the writings, the duck, the fire, and the figure in the dark stuck in his mind forever. And even years later, when Phil returned to investigate again, the trail still held the same unsettling silence, as if the person who left those messages had never really left at all. But who was he? Number 3, Devil's Forest. For years, Jasko built his name by exploring abandoned hospitals, forgotten prisons, and silent stretches of forest where most people refused to spend a single hour. But the Devil's Forest was different. Even he admitted that. It was a place with a story older than any video, tied to violence, disappearances, and tales locals avoided repeating after dark. On September 16, 2025, he and his friend Chris decided to camp there, setting up their van right in the center of the woods. At first, everything seemed calm, as it should be. The air stood still, and the trees barely moved. But as the night crept in, the forest began to change slowly and steadily. The silence grew heavier each minute, and the trail behind them felt watched. And suddenly, while filming, Jasko heard his own name whispered down the path in Chris's voice.
I just heard my name being called from down the trail.
The problem was simple, but Chris was standing a quarter mile in the opposite direction. When Jasko called out, he didn't answer, and there were no footsteps, no human voice. Only the echo of his own words bouncing between the trees.
But Chris is in that direction. Chris? But if he's down there, then... What the f? Yo! Who's down there? Hello?
It wasn't his first strange experience in these woods. Years earlier, he had camped here with his friend Ben during winter, only to wake up to slow, crunching footsteps circling the tent. Their spirit box warned them that someone was coming.
Scottish. Someone's coming.
When they rushed outside, they found fresh footprints stamped into a frozen log on the lake. Prints that started and ended without any let-up, as if the person stepped onto the log and vanished into the air.
Oh, Ben! What the fuck was that? Yeah. Look on that log right there. Holy. Ben? Those are feet prints. Look at that. What? No.
That night stayed with them as a reminder that this forest had layers no one understood. Now, back in the present, the forest was waking up around Jasko and Chris in the worst possible way. As they were sleeping in the van, a loud crash sound outside. It was as if some glass was shattering.
Chris?
Yeah.
Chris, did you hear that?
Yeah, what was
Somebody just break a fucking window? Who was that?
They jumped out, only to find nothing broken. No windows, no branches, and no fallen gear. The sound had come from nowhere. They left it there and went back to sleep, and that is when a gunshot cracked through the trees.
Chris! That was a gunshot. That was a gunshot.
Then another one where flashes, flickers between the trunks, followed by the slow movement. Someone was out there. Someone who had been circling them for longer than they realized.
Did you see anything?
There's a light! There's a fucking light right there!
Oh! Oh shit!
What is that? There's someone out there?
What the f? Yo,
What is that?
Yo, there's someone out there. There's someone out there.
There's actually someone out
Yo,
there.
what the fuck? What the fuck? Hold on.
What the f?
Bro, is that someone out there? Bro, that's a light. That's a f***ing light. It's moving. Chris, it's moving. There's someone outside the van right now.
Why? What are they doing? There actually has been somebody here the whole time.
What the f?
Jasko and Chris didn't wait for answers. They grabbed what they could and drove through the forest and didn't stop until the forest was behind them. That is when the fear finally loosened its grip. Whether the presence was human or something far stranger, they never figured out. But after 2 trips that ended in terror, one thing became clear. Whatever haunts the Devil's Forest doesn't want company for sure. Number 4, the night the forest stepped closer. Louise had always been comfortable alone in the wilderness. She and her friend Emily, known online as Camper Vibe, spent years documenting their travels and renovating a 200-year-old stone cottage. Solitude never really scares her. But in early 2023, when she took a solo trip to Daring Woods on the edge of Pluckley, she discovered there are some nights where being alone can feel like a trap. This Daring Woods and the village surrounding it is often called the most haunted place in the UK. The day started perfectly as she set up her hammock, lit a small fire, cooked a simple meal, and listened to the forest settle around her as the sun went down. The woods seemed peaceful at first, filled with the usual background noises of owls, leaves, and distant trees. But then new strange sounds started coming through the dark. Louise tried to laugh it off, telling herself it was probably birds or maybe a train. But the longer she sat by the fire, the stranger the noises became. They layered over each other, bending in the most strange way. It was echoing through the trees in all directions.
Sounds like kids screaming. That's just a train. Is it a bird or is it kids screaming? That's a bird. That's a gunshot. I don't know if you'll be able to hear a lot of this, it's pretty distant, but it sounds like kids screaming.
She whispered in the camera that she had never been in the woods with so many bizarre sounds. Still, she tried to relax, letting the fire burn low before climbing into her hammock.
Honestly, I've never known a woods with so many strange noises. It's not just your normal birds and stuff and planes. There's a lot of planes. There's like this weird... Well, I don't really know how to describe it, but I'm tired, so I'm going to let this burn out in a bit, sit here and enjoy a fire for a little while, and then, yeah, head to bed. The hammock's really comfy, thank God, so...
She expected that exhaustion would eventually knock her out, but sleep never really came. Around 2 in the morning, it started to rain, and the droplets started to drop lightly through the leaves overhead. Again, the mood of the forest shifted. Between the distant owls and passing planes, she heard something much closer. slow, careful footsteps pressing into the ground, approaching her hammock with some dark intent. They stopped just outside the thin fabric wall separating her from the darkness. It paused for a while and then continued circling her. Louise was literally frozen inside. She didn't dare turn on her light. The footsteps returned again and again, sometimes fading into the distance, only to come back moments later. When she finally gathered the courage to peek outside, there was nothing. No people, no movement. Even in daylight, she swore she still heard faint footsteps, and when she discovered she had accidentally left her axe lying in the open all night, she realized just how vulnerable she had been. If someone had truly been wandering around her camp, she had practically handed them a weapon. Louise made it home safely, but she continues to believe that she was not alone in the woods that night, even though she has no explanation for who or what was walking in the darkness beside her. So what exactly was walking circles around her in the dark? Number 5. The footsteps that followed Daniel. For nearly a decade, Daniel O'Neill, better known as the English Woodsman, has been the calm, steady voice of camping in the UK. His channel is built on simple pleasures like gear tests, quiet hikes, hot meals cooked over small flames, and long, peaceful nights beneath the trees. Nothing dramatic, nothing extreme, just nature as it is. But in August 2023, one trip near his home turned out to be the kind of night no camper forgets. The video began like any other, with Daniel walking through the woods, pointing out berries, checking the trail, and mentioning bits of trash and footprints scattered around the ground. It was nothing unusual at first.
Someone's been here. There's a lot of rubbish around here. Yeah, look at the state of this. It does get used, doesn't it?
After a 20-minute hike, Daniel chose a quiet place between those thick trees where he planned to spend the night. He leaned against a trunk, boiled noodles, and chatted with the camera.
I'll be out Friday night, but I'm going away Saturday, so I've got a bit of a drive as well, so I didn't want to be tired, and it's going to throw it down Friday night as well, and rain camping is really good. Is that a badger? Hello?
But around the 25-minute mark, the tone of the forest began to shift. Behind him, clear as day, came the sound of footsteps. It was slow and deliberate.
There's that noise again now. Hello? Hello? You got a bit of that.
It was so human. Daniel looked around and called out, "Hello." But it was just woods and silence all around, as if whoever had been standing behind him simply froze the second he turned his head. Daniel sat back down, trying to act calm, sipping his coffee between glances over his shoulder. For a moment, the woods behaved again. Then, as the sun went down, the footsteps returned. This time deeper in tone, closer in position. It was like someone pressing each step into the ground with intention. Daniel called out again, only to be met with the same silence. There was no answer, no movement, nor a figure, just the heavy feeling that someone was watching him from behind the trees. By 40 minutes, the footsteps started a third time. Now it was approaching him for sure. Most people would have grabbed their pack and ran out of the place without a second thought. But Daniel tried forcing himself to sit and finish his meal, convincing himself it was nothing. But as the daylight faded from the clearing, the footsteps rose again, and this time it was steady and deliberate. That was enough for him. Daniel finally stood up and admitted to his viewers that he couldn't stay. He didn't care if anyone called him a wimp or a coward. Something was wrong, and he knew it.
I'm going to be honest. I can't stay here now. I'm going to be a wimp. I don't care if people call me a wimp in the comments, but I can't stay here. I'm too unsettled.
The grass was too wet for those crisp, dry steps to be an animal. The pacing was too steady to be a fox or deer. It sounded human. Someone walking just out of sight. Someone who stopped every time he turned around. Daniel packed his gear and left the clearing behind. He went choosing a new location for the night rather than risk finding out who or what had been circling him. He got away, but the question still hangs in the silence of that deep forest. Who was walking there? Number 6, the light that wouldn't stay still. For most people, camping is supposed to bring peace. A fire, a tent, and the quiet comfort of the woods. But for outdoors, with Eric, his night in the forest turned into something far stranger than a simple outdoor adventure. It started with Eric. He had camped in these woods plenty of times, but on this night the air felt heavier, sharper than ever, as if the dark itself was listening.
Hear that?
When he first heard the strange sound, it was just so usual. It was a faint voice enough to write off as a branch or maybe an owl. But the deeper he walked toward the noise, the louder it grew. Not random rustling or an animal tearing through brush. It was a steady, rising sound that didn't match with anything he could catch up with. Eric switched on his night vision camera, and suddenly the woods shifted into that strange green glow that makes even familiar shapes look wrong. Then he caught movement, something drifting between the trees. It was too tall to be a fox and too slow to be a deer. It was a shape that didn't match any animal he knew. It stepped closer and then closer again. And with every foot it took, the night around him seemed to tighten and frightening.
Okay, there's the light, guys. I'm gonna turn my light off. Do you see that light? Now, I don't know if that, I'm so glad it's back on. I don't know if that's a street light. If that's a street light, I'm gonna feel like a fool. But I swear to God, it was off not too long ago, and now it's back on. And I don't really know what I should do. I feel like it's moving, but it could be the leaves on the trees just like swaying and like making it appear to be moving if it's a street light. But I'm gonna keep, and it looks like it's getting brighter, bro. This is freaking me out because I'm in the middle of the woods, dude. I thought I heard footsteps. I'm gonna turn my light. I think there's something outside my tent. I can see a light. Oh, I do see somebody outside. What the f? Come on in. Oh! Woo!
Story 1. The Palm Springs parking lot stalker, Ian's stealth camping gone wrong. It was just another night for Ian, a seasoned stealth camper who had weathered everything from sandstorms to rain. So, staying overnight in a McDonald's parking lot in Palm Springs didn't exactly sound like a challenge. But that night would shake him in ways no storm ever had. After setting up in the back of his car, Ian was moments away from falling asleep when he heard something. Someone trying the car door handle. Not once, but over and over. He sat up, eyes wide, heart racing, only to see a man standing silently outside the passenger door. No talking, no gestures, just stillness. Ian called out multiple times, asking what was going on, hoping the man would speak or leave, but the stranger said nothing. He just stood there. Staying inside the car, Ian made the smart decision to start the engine and move to a more hidden spot nearby. He thought it was over. But a few minutes later, he spotted the same man walking around the lot again, almost like he was searching for the car. That's when reality set in.
What's going on, man? What's going on? What's up? What's up, man? What's going on? What are you doing?
This wasn't just some random passerby. Whether the man was high, disturbed, or had far worse intentions, the danger felt too real.
Hey, bro. What's up? What you doing, man? Ain't weird, bro.
Ian left the area altogether and only found rest once he was far away. No follow-up ever came, no answers. Just a deeply unsettling reminder that even in the most familiar places, something can go wrong in an instant. Story 2. Midnight Glass and Fear in Dwick Village. Brendan's van attack. Brendan was used to sketchy spots, so when he chose to stealth camp in Dwick, known as England's most deprived village, he didn't expect paradise, but what he got was something far worse. Things started off quietly. The village's surrounding countryside looked peaceful, and Brendan figured a parking lot on the edge of town would be a fine spot to spend the night. As the sun dipped, some warning signs popped up. Loud music from cars, groups of racers flying down the road. Nothing dangerous yet, but definitely uncomfortable. Sensing it might not be the best location, Brendan left the lot and followed a dirt trail until he found a secluded area, totally off-grid, with no lights, houses, or nearby roads. He parked, cooked, and called it a night. Around 2:30 a.m., sleep shattered with the sound of movement outside the van.
I think someone's outside the van.
Heavy footsteps circled the vehicle, and then the sliding door rattled. Before he could fully process what was happening, the passenger window exploded, glass everywhere. A figure took off into the night just as Brendan shouted, "Hey!" He speculated later that maybe someone was after his mini fridge, which sat near the passenger seat. But given how far off-grid he was, the most disturbing possibility was that he had been followed the whole time, tracked. Brendan didn't stick around to test any theories. He drove all night back towards safety. The broken glass wasn't the scariest part. It was the idea that someone found him out in what he thought was the middle of nowhere. Story 3. Flashlights in the Forest, Daniel's Close Call in Austria. In the quiet woodlands near Austria, Daniel Mark Brown thought he'd found the perfect stealth camping spot. Hidden just off a hiking trail with thick trees and a river nearby, it felt like the ideal escape. He set up his gear, cooked a peaceful riverside meal, and returned just as darkness swallowed the path behind him. Settling into his sleeping bag, the forest was still, calm even. But about 90 minutes later, that calm broke with a sharp crack of branches and a flash of light cutting through the trees. Not animal movement, not the wind. A flashlight. Someone was out there, and they were pointing the beam right at him.
I'm being spotted. Right, I'm trying to keep calm and keeping calm. I'm almost too scared to breathe here. I think a dog or something just came in.
Frozen, Daniel lay still, his mind racing. Eventually, he sat up and called out. No answer. The person just turned and walked back into the woods. the light vanishing with them. No footsteps, no voice, just silence.
Oh, that's right. They're looking straight at me. I am trying not to panic.
Daniel didn't wait around to see if the stranger would return. He packed up and left in a hurry, stumbling through the dark forest trail with only his headlamp and fear to guide him. The scariest part wasn't the figure itself, it was the fact that they said nothing, no response, just stared, then left.
They haven't been about, I haven't seen a single light now for maybe 5-10 minutes. I don't even know. I've been just trying to keep as calm as possible, but when they walked off and the light went out, I don't even know which direction they were, but somewhere in that direction. I'll forget it, let's just go.
Like they'd been watching long enough to know where he was. Maybe it was just another hiker, maybe not. But anyone moving silently through the woods at night without announcing themselves isn't exactly comforting. Story 4. The Triple Brick Ambush, Ellie and Graham's Nightmare. Ellie and Graham, an older couple from the UK, had been on the road in their camper van for years. Their adventures took them everywhere, and they were no strangers to quiet overnight stops. But nothing could prepare them for what happened outside Altrincham. They had to return home for an emergency but couldn't make the full trip in one go. So they parked in a small car park on the edge of town for a night's rest. It was already dark, no time to be picky. Around 1 a.m., they were jolted awake by loud music from a nearby car. The noise stopped quickly, and they assumed that was that. But just as they drifted off again, a thunderous bang shook the van. They rushed outside, thinking maybe a tree had fallen or something had struck them by accident. But what they saw made their stomachs drop.
Just can't believe it. We've just been woken up with a loud bang, and you dropped something on the floor there. Was that glass? 2 bricks. And someone's just smashed Merlin's windows while we were sleeping. So no, we don't recommend this as a place to stop. They smashed the windscreen, but Graham's hoping he can drive with that. But here's us in the middle of nowhere, with a broken window and a cracked windscreen, 200 miles from home.
3 bricks. One shattered the passenger window, another cracked the windshield, a third had dented the van's side. Total silence followed. No one around. No attempt to rob them, no shouting, just nothing. Later, another camper nearby mentioned hearing a car speed off around the same time. Ellie and Graham figured it had to be at least 3 people throwing bricks at once, one synchronized hit. Whether it was a cruel prank, an attempted break-in gone wrong, or something else entirely, they never found out. They didn't sleep the rest of the night, and for a long time after that, they stopped stealth camping altogether. That kind of fear doesn't fade quickly, especially when there's no explanation for the attack. Story 5. The Cemetery Encounter, the Abandoned Camper. Stealth camping in a cemetery isn't for the faint of heart, but for the YouTuber known as the Abandoned Camper, the thrill of hidden spots outweighed the fear, until one night in a forgotten 1800s graveyard. The evening began calmly. She found a hidden clearing surrounded by thick trees, set up camp, and wandered through the crumbling gravestones. That's when it started, faint sounds of children screaming somewhere nearby. At first, she assumed it was her imagination. No one should be out there. Then she saw them. group of kids, barely visible in the distance, watching her. She wasn't sure how long they'd been there. Maybe they followed her. Maybe they were already there. Either way, she knew they'd seen her.
It's pretty dark here right now, but there are kids here, like young kids, in the cemetery. And I'm wondering how active this place actually is. Do people come here at night and kind of party in the forest or something? That dog kind of ruined it. Not ruined it, I shouldn't say that. The dog barking, I didn't want to disturb anybody, especially since I'm not supposed to be here. So I think I'll finish my exploring tomorrow morning. And because there seems to be still a lot of stuff here. See? I think they know I'm here. That's not good.
She kept recording just in case and made sure not to lead them back to her camp. But once back, things escalated. She lit a small fire to cook food, trying to relax. That's when the voices returned. Closer this time, soft talking. Footsteps in the forest. No flashlights, no laughter. Just movement. Hidden.
But I'm also gonna stop and find out what they're doing, if they're actually watching me or not. Well, I can see them. I just don't want them to see where I'm going. Okay. I think they're gone.
It didn't feel like a joke anymore. Whether the kids were messing with her or something more serious was going on, she didn't wait to find out. She packed up and left quickly, staying silent, careful not to make noise in the underbrush. Nothing physical happened, but the creeping fear, the sense of being watched, and the sounds in the dark made this night one of the most chilling in her entire journey. Story 6. The Silent Figure in Konkul's Hollow. At first glance, it was just a scenic photo from a hike through Konkul's Hollow. A man in a red flannel shirt walks near a rocky opening, sunlight casting long shadows across the ground. Nothing unusual, that is, until 3 years later. While revisiting old photos, the person who took it noticed something strange. In the shadows, behind the man, was a pale figure. Its outline was unmistakably human-like, but something was off. The figure was almost translucent, dressed in what appeared to be striped fabric and positioned eerily still, like it was watching. It hadn't been noticed at the time. No one saw anything during the hike, and yet there it was. No motion blur, no lighting trick, just standing there. Some who've seen the photo online believe it's a ghost. Others swear it resembles an old-style clown costume, especially with the vertical striped fabric. The hollow itself doesn't have any well-known haunted history, but after the photo resurfaced, many began digging into local lore. Was it someone hiding in the woods? Could a stranger have stood just feet away, unnoticed, waiting? Or was it something else entirely? Something tied to the land that only showed up when it wanted to? There's no official explanation, no clear face, no follow-up. Just one photo that turned an ordinary hike into something far more unsettling. Story 7. The Masked Man Behind the Tree. A woman walking home from work at night decided to take a short break on a park bench. Just a 2-minute rest. That's all it was meant to be. As she looked around, something caught her eye. A faint outline behind a tree, barely lit by the nearest street lamp. A man, wearing a mask, standing still, no movement, no sound, just watching. The moment her brain registered what she was seeing, her body froze.
Да видно? Аня ушла. Настя, я боюсь. Настя, я боюсь. Там видно? Посмотри, там видно? Слышишь ты, сука? Я сейчас тебя так пиздану, ты охуеешь.
Fight or flight kicked in, but she couldn't move. The camera in her hand shook slightly as she finally gathered the strength to stand. Her breath picked up. He was still there, still staring. This wasn't a jump scare moment or a prank with a friend hiding behind a bush. This was real and happening in real time.
Слышишь ты, сука? Я сейчас тебя так пиздану, ты охуеешь. Шваль ты ебучий, блядь.
She didn't wait to see what he wanted or whether he would follow. She ran. And that's where the video ends. No confrontation, no words exchanged. Just the unsettling question of what that man was doing, hiding silently behind a tree at night, watching strangers from the shadows. Some think it was a cruel prank. Others aren't so sure. The stillness, the silence, the timing, it didn't feel random. And it makes you wonder, how many times has someone been standing in the dark, just out of sight, and gone completely unnoticed? Story 8. The blood-curdling scream by the cemetery. It happened 3 years ago, late at night. Someone was at home when a scream rang out, high-pitched, terrified, echoing from the nearby woods. It was the kind of sound that instantly tightens your chest. A woman's scream, or so it seemed. The property sat close to a steep drop leading to the highway, and directly across from it. A cemetery, not exactly a comforting setting. The scream came once, loud, then nothing. The person grabbed a phone and hit record, capturing the sound, then called the police. They sent the video, thinking someone might be hurt or lost. But days passed, then weeks. The police never got back. No missing persons, no follow-up. And the scream, it never came again. Some tried to explain it away. Maybe it was an animal, a fox or some other creature known for eerie cries. But those who heard it live still insist it wasn't animalistic. It had desperation in it, fear, and that sharp human tone that doesn't fade easily from memory. To this day, no one knows what happened. Whether someone needed help, whether someone was taken, or whether the scream was a leftover echo from something much older in those woods. It only happened once, and maybe that's why it still haunts those who heard it. Just a single chilling moment, and then silence forever. Story 9. The Flashlight Stranger in the Woods, Daniel's Return. Daniel thought he'd found the perfect stealth camping spot, quiet, hidden, and far from any crowds. The day was peaceful, the fire was warm, the forest still. He drifted to sleep without worry. That didn't last long. About 90 minutes later, something snapped him awake. Twigs breaking. The kind of sound that makes your ears perk up even if you're half asleep. Then came a light, bright, direct, scanning through the trees.
Being spotted. Right, I'm trying to keep calm and keeping calm. I'm almost too scared to breathe here. I think a dog or something just came in.
Someone was there, and they were looking right at him. He lay frozen, unsure whether to move or stay still. The light didn't flicker or pass by. It hovered, locked onto his location. Daniel finally mustered up the courage to call out. No response. The light turned, and whoever held it disappeared into the woods. Just like that. No words, no footsteps. Gone.
Oh, that's right. They're looking straight at me. I am trying not to panic. Hello?
They haven't been about, I haven't seen a single light now for maybe 5-10 minutes. I don't even know. I've been just trying to keep as calm as possible, but when they walked off and the light went out, I don't even know which direction they were, but somewhere in that direction.
Was it just another camper? Unlikely. No one else had passed him on the trail, no signs of others nearby, and whoever it was made sure not to answer, not to engage. Daniel packed quickly and left, heart pounding the whole way. The scariest part wasn't the stranger itself, it was the way they just silently watched and left, like they were sizing him up and changed their mind at the last second. No footsteps, no goodbye, just a flashlight beam and the overwhelming sense of being hunted. Story 10. The Hanging Discovery at Havis Memorial Picnic Ground. Dundee was just out filming another hiking vlog. Nothing special. He'd broken camp early at Islip Saddle and was making his way down toward the Havis Memorial Picnic Ground. The place was quiet, empty, except for one car oddly parked near the edge of a steep embankment. That's when things started feeling off.
Anyway, I broke camp at Islip Saddle that morning, and I decided to do like a mile more of road walk before joining the PCT again. And as I approached the Javis Memorial Picnic Ground, I noticed there was a single car in the parking lot, and it was backed up to the edge. But what really caught my attention was that the back tires were way up on the embankment. So that caused me to walk over and take a closer look. And that's when I noticed the rope that was tied to the back and disappearing over the edge.
Curious, Dundee walked closer. That's when he saw the rope tied to the back bumper, trailing over the side of the drop. And when he peered over the edge, a man hanging by the neck, lifeless, completely still. Shaken, Dundee ran back to call for help. Authorities confirmed what he feared. It wasn't a prank or mannequin, it was real.
So apparently they want me to wait until homicide gets here and make sure it wasn't a murder.
Fire and rescue teams arrived, followed by the sheriff and investigators who needed to rule out foul play. The sheriff's update later made it clear the man was gone before anyone arrived. Whether it was suicide or something darker, no one could say for sure. But the image stayed with Dundee. It's one thing to see a body on TV. It's another to stumble across one hanging in the forest, tied to a car like it was a forgotten object. He kept hiking that day, but with every step, the memory followed. Story 11. The Pale Lurker Behind the Camera. Late one night, a homeowner checked his backyard Ring camera after getting an alert. What he saw didn't feel like a typical critter caught on tape. The footage showed something pale, almost glowing, moving in the background, not walking, not running, just gliding through the dark, along the gravel path like it didn't even touch the ground.
Huh.
I just heard something happen. Like a
I did not hear it.
like that, like. You burned yourself again? Damn it, Tony.
I hear talking in the distance.
100% just heard talking in the distance.
There wasn't any blur, no obvious sign of video glitching, just the shape, tall, lanky, and completely silent. He tried to convince himself it was a camera malfunction, maybe a bug close to the lens, maybe even a reflection. But the longer he stared, the less likely those explanations seemed.
Oh, Tony's right there. He's getting the fuck out of me.
I just heard it.
Oh, stop. We keep hearing a whistle, bro.
Huh?
We keep hearing whistling.
The path crunched a second before the shape appeared, as if someone or something was stepping on it. No wind, no trees swaying, just that soft crunch. Some who watched the clip online thought it could have been a person in white. But then why wouldn't they show up clearly? Why didn't they walk normally? The motion didn't feel human. The homeowner has since upgraded all his security systems, but that one night still sticks with him. It wasn't just that something was there. It was how silently it moved, how confidently it crossed the yard like it had done it before. And that camera alert? It never triggered again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below if you've ever witnessed anything you still can't explain.